Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. Welcome back to another lesson. And in this lesson, we will basically bring in all our posts from our database and actually displaying them in our blog. So if we go to our website quickly, so basically if we go to our blog right here, we will basically display our post right here. Obviously everything is a little bit messed up right now, but we will fix that in this lesson. So yes, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do, if we go to our resources views, our blog.index, you guys remember, we're going to use the base layout for this one. Okay. All right, so let's get cracking. All right, so inside here, we're just going to create a element called main, but let me just give it a class of main with a class of min height of screen, just a tailwind class, just to make sure. Let me show you. Let's go back. If we refresh, you will see it just give us some space right in here. Okay, so we're going to build the sidebar over here, and obviously all our posts right here. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. So hopefully this will be a long video, and if we get everything done in this one, it will be all in this video. But if we see the time is too long, we will just continue in the next video. Okay, because there's quite a lot of things that we have to do in this one. Right, so then we're going to create a section with a container and a padding top of 24 and MX Auto just to space Y or 4. The MX Auto is just to kind of center everything in the center. All right, so this part is going to be our header section. All right, so underneath that, let's put our header. Now, let me just give the header a class as well. Width. Okay, so header with the width of full and padding of 4 and a background of white. We can obviously change that. So you have complete freedom of how you want to style it. I just want to do it this way so that we can actually see where everything is, and you can obviously decide how you want to do your things. All right, so this will be actually our Livewire component. I would just say show post. All right, so let's create that Livewire component. Okay, so what we're going to do, let me save this and terminal. All right, so PHP artisan make Livewire, and we're going to go into the post folder, and inside that we're just going to do show post, just like this. All right, so now we created our class and our views in here, but I'm going to move that view into our posts, but don't worry about that for now. So we're going to just put in Livewire, and then we're going to obviously go to the show post. Okay, so what it done, it created Livewire under post, show post right here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rename it to post.show post, because if we go to the bottom right here, resources, views, Livewire, I'm going to move this into the posts folder and actually just delete this post folder right there. What you could have done, if you didn't want to do what I just did, you could have just put in here posts plural, and when you created the item like this, you just created with an S, then you didn't need to do that. But since I already created the index, I kind of kept it like that. Okay, so now our post is supposed to be there. Okay, so it's there. So if we click on it, we actually get to this part. Now I just want it work. Do what you enjoy. I just want to see if the Livewire actually display that element. Okay, let's go there and let's refresh. As you can see, that element is actually in work, do what you enjoy. All right, so it is working. So basically that's our header. You can do with whatever you want. I just wanted to put it there so that just for cosmetics, I think, but it's not, I'm not trying to do the most beautiful thing. I'm just trying to get the code to work, and you can obviously style it however you want. All right, so the next part is, so since our Livewire component is being displayed right there, so everything is working. So let's start coding our component. All right, so basically inside our Livewire component, right here under the show post, we're actually going to create a div as is. We're going to keep this one. Let me just delete it because we're going to put the main post on the left hand side and the sidebar on the right hand side. Okay, so for the div, we're going to create a grid, a grid with a grid column span of 4 and then a gap of 8. Right, so that's our div, our main container. So this is just going to be our main content. Okay, so under our main content, I'm just going to create another div. Okay, so another div. Let's just say call span of 3. Now this one is going to have all the posts for us. Okay, so add for each post as post. We obviously have to style our posts. Okay, so for now I'm just going to do a div with a background of white. Now let's just go for indigo. Okay, and I'm just going to put in here posts just like this, just as an example. Okay, the next part underneath this, we will create our site navigation. Okay, now under our site navigation, we're actually going to put in a site element. Let me just do it like a site with a space, let's say space y of 8. Okay, and inside here we're going to do a div with the item of flex with an item center. Okay, and then we're just going to do an h2, and this is going to be the sort. Okay, so this is basically our sort navigation right here. Okay, I'm just putting sorting. Okay, underneath this, we're going to create a div with a space x. Let's do it like this. Div with a space x of 4. Why didn't it? Space, come on, x of 4. Okay, good stuff. Then we create 2 buttons. Okay. Okay, so this is button. We're actually gonna, let me just copy this button twice. This is basically ascending and descending sort by. Okay, so that's why the flex is there and stuff like that. But let's quickly go and get 2 SVGs, add hero icons. Okay, let's go there. Okay, so if we search in hero icons like this, okay, then we're going to just do sort. Let's just see if we get, right, as you can see, we got a sort ascending and a descending. We're just going to copy them both. So let's copy the first one and go back to VS Code. Okay, this one is going to be the ascending, top one, and let's just copy the other one as well. Go back and copy this one and go back to VS Code and paste this one in right here. Okay, so this button, okay, it's going to have a wire property. Okay, so it's going to be a wire, okay, or a click event on this button that's going to equal to, let me just do it like this, it's going to equal to a sort by. All right, now it's going to sort by recent ASC. Okay. Now we're going to add another wire click on this one. Wire click on this one, and this one is going to be just sort by recent descending, just like this. We're obviously going to do some more stuff. We obviously get errors now because these properties are not in our class yet, in our show post class. Okay, in our Livewire component. Pardon me. Okay, so the next part that we're going to do is if we go down, this is basically our sorting. It's got our flex item right there. And then we have to, underneath this, we actually have to put our categories. Okay, so let's create another div. Okay, back in spam. Create another div. Now this div, inside here, we will actually create a div again of a heading of padding. And just do it like this. Put our div. Let me delete this one like this. Okay. Let me create a class of padding of 2 and text wide. Okay. Text wide and a background of indigo. Let's say 500. Okay. So that's our div right there. Inside here, we're just going to create an H2 and call it categories. Like this. All right. And underneath this is basically we've got our main div. All right. Now underneath this, basically we're going to do all the categories of the database. So we're going to do another for each here. Categories. As category. Right, now this is going to have another button. Okay. Now the button is going to have a wire property called click. Okay, so if the user clicks this button, we're going to call this one toggle category. Like this. All right. And we obviously going to take in the parameter of the category ID. And then we're obviously going to add some classes right there, but for now, let's leave it as is. And then obviously we're going to put in here the category name, like this. Okay, so we end that. So this is basically our categories right there. We got our sorting. I'm just going to put this categories. So obviously if we go to the browser, we're going to get an error because it's not going to find these properties. So all these posts and things is going to come from here, from our Livewire component. But for now, I just want to get the styling and things out of the way. All right, so that's about it. So if you pause the video, just copy all of that into your, obviously, your text editor or IDE. Right, so the next part that we're going to do is we have done our index to show the post. So we linked that. We created our view inside our post. Now inside our show method, now this is where all the magic happens. All right, that's why I wanted to get all that done out of the way. So this is going to be a lot of, how can I say, meat to take in. All right, so with pagination, all right, so because we can have pagination in our, or when we show the post, we're going to do them in 10 or 20, it depends however many you want. All right, then we're going to create a public variable, and we're going to call that category. Okay. Then underneath that, we're going to create another public variable, and we're going to call this the sort by variable. That's going to equal to that recent DESC. All right, so that's it. So underneath this, we're going to do a protected query string. Okay, protected query string. Okay, this is going to equal to an array. You will see in a sec why. All right, we're just going to put parameters on the category. Okay. So basically the query for the string, except when the category is, let's do like this, when the category is an empty string. Okay, in the next one, when the sort by is except recent DESC. Okay, so that's our query string protected method. Right now in the render method, okay, so this method right here, we're actually going to supply all the variables to our view right here. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we need to get all the categories. Okay, so let's get all the categories. That's equal to the category. Just remember to import them at the top right there. Okay, so we get a categories all. All right, now the next part is we're going to get all the post equals to the post. Now the thing is, I want to create a scope inside our database. Let me open the block controller again, post home controller. You guys remember, this is basically how we got our post where featured equals true, where not null, all the kind of things. What we can do is we can actually create a scope inside our model, in our post model. Let me show you. Let me get the Laravel documentation for you. Okay, so on here, I'm just going to go to Laravel docs. See if I can get it. So I'm on Laravel 8. So let me make this a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to put in here local scope. Hopefully it gives me something. All right, here it is. All right, so basically what we can do is we can actually create scopes, like a scope published or scope active or stuff like this inside your model. So then you can actually return a query and you can actually just add the query on. But I will show you. But this, if you want to read more about scopes, you can just go to your documentation and just type in local scopes if you want to read more about them. Okay. Otherwise, the video will get way too long. Okay, if I explain it all. But I think once I'm coding it, you guys will get it. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code. Let me just close this. If I refresh this, obviously going to get a lot of errors now. Okay, yeah, don't mind these. We're not there yet. We still need to do a lot of things. Okay, let's go back to VS Code. Right, so basically we're going to create a couple of scopes in our post model. Right, so if we go down underneath our search, okay, so what we do is, let's say the first one that we're going to do is for the categories. So what we do is public function like this, public function, and we add the scope keyword in front of our query that we want to do. In our case, this one is going to be category. Okay, the category like this. Okay, then we use the builder method, the eloquent builder method. Okay, model. Then we're just going to do a query. And then we're going to add the string for category. Just trying to remember everything. Okay, and the next one is we need to add the builder. Okay, and underneath this, like that's why I said you cannot remember most of the things, but you can always refer back to the documentation. Okay, in this case, we're just going to return a query. All right, the query where basically the category ID and then parameter will basically be the category, just like this. Now, how we can call this category, the scope, inside our show post right here, is basically what we do is, now the next part is, we can actually just call the post like that category like this, post dot category. Okay, so now we can actually call it like this, that scope. Okay, so basically it will just add the where clause to it, but we can call it now like this. Okay, so let's go back to our post model. We just need a couple of other scopes that I want to add in there. Okay, so public function. This scope is basically a featured scope. Okay, so featured. We're going to obviously use the builder and a query. Right, and it is going to be the builder. And then we're just going to return. We're going to return the query. As you guys will remember, where basically featured is set to true. Okay, so what this basically does is, if we say post, let me just use an example right here. So if we call post like this, now we can just call it the featured one like here. Okay, just like this. Instead of actually doing where this clause, we can actually just call post featured, just like this. Easy peasy. All right. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. That's just an example. All right, the next one is, you guys remember the published at date. We're going to do a scope for that as well. So publish public function, and we're going to do a scope of published. Okay, and this is going to take also the builder. Come on. The builder and our query. All right, and the builder is basically, we have to just hint it in there. Just make sure your builder is imported at the top. The database eloquent builder model right there, the builder actually. All right. Now here we're just going to return the query. Okay, where not null. Where not null. We're not null, our published ad. Wow, I cannot type. Okay, published ad. Okay, and then we can add another clause where the published ad is less than or equal to our new date time. Okay, so that's it. So basically what we have done now in this one is basically, as you can see, this part right here has become our published ad. This is becoming our featured. Okay, so that you can actually just nicely do your scopes right here. So you can just call the published right here, and it will actually return all of this stuff right here. Okay, instead of having to do all of this code right here every time when you want to search that post. Okay, so you do your own scope. All right, so we got that. Let's just make sure you got everything. Okay, and I want to also add another scopes, two other scopes, the ascending scope and the descending scope. All right, so we're going to do a public function scope, and this one is going to be recent ASC. Okay, so then we can obviously use the query builder. Okay, the query and the builder right there. Then we're going to return the query. Yep. Come on. We're going to return the query. Okay, order by. Okay, we're going to order by title. So basically our posts are going to be ordered by a title when we're going to do the scope of recent. And how we're going to do that? We're going to do them ascending, ASC, this recent, ascending or descending. Okay, so that's the first one. And I'm just going to copy this one down because this one is just going to be like that. Just copy it down, and this one is going to be DESC. All right, and this is going to be TESC. All right, so we created our 4 scopes. We've got our featured, published, recent ascending, and recent descending. That's all we're going to do in our model. So we're all done. You guys will see now how we will use this in our Livewire right here. Okay, so the next part that we're going to do, if we move just underneath this, we've got our categories. Okay, next thing we got our post. Okay, I don't want to post class. All right, I want to choose all the posts published. Okay, all the posts published. Okay, so if this dot category, so if there is a query for this dot category, okay, then basically the posts dot category, that scope that we just created for this. Yes. This dot cat, come on. I think I must edit this out. No, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave this. All right. So if we go back to our post, all right, as you can see for our category, we require another parameter, okay, of the category. That's why in our post right here, it's going to require that parameter, okay, right there, okay. So, all right, let's move on. Okay, and then posts. Now, this one is we're going to add another parameter. You remember the sort by. We created in our posts these recent or recent ascending or descending. Now, basically in our post method right here, we can actually do like this, dot order by. Okay, and then obviously we can just do like this. So basically what this does is, let's say the user select recent descending, then it will basically, the query will be like this, post dot recent DSC. That's basically what will happen. Okay, so when the users chose that, then basically we will just run the scope method inside here, just like this. Okay, easy peasy stuff. All right, that's all this is. It's just the brackets right there is just for us to put in this model in there. Okay, that's all it does. Okay, so if we delete that, okay, so that is that. Then we move on, and now we need to pass those variables to our view. Okay, so we open and close. So basically we're going to pass in the posts. Okay. Okay, so the post, okay, the post paginate, and you can decide how many you want to paginate here. I'm just going to decide to stick on 10. You can do how many you want. Okay, the next one is going to be the categories. Obviously this variable right here, and then we're just going to paste it in here. Categories, let me just move it up. Okay, and the next part is going to be selected category. Just move it up a bit so that you guys can see it easier. Okay, it's going to be this dot category. The next one is going to be selected sorted by, and that is going to equal to this dot sort by. Right, so we got all our variables right there. We're not finished yet. Okay, let me just, underneath this, we're going to actually toggle now our category, okay, inside when the user clicks. Let me just go to the browser again. Obviously, we cannot see it yet, so let's go back. I'll show you in a sec what we're going to do. So the next thing is we need to add our public function of toggle our category. All right, so we're going to toggle our category, and we're going to take in a parameter of called category. Okay, and we're just going to add a void. All right, so then it's going to be this category is going to equal to this category. If it's not equal to the category that we pass through, okay, and this dot category exists. Right, we're going to create this function in a sec. This dot category, and then we're just going to pass in obviously our category variable right through. Else, we're going to do category, or if it's not, then it's just going to be null. Right, so let's create this public. Did I spell something wrong? Nope, I didn't. I just put it our function inside our render method. We can just move it down. Okay, now it's all good. Okay, the next part that we're going to do is we need to create that category exist right here. Okay, so let's do that. So public function, if the category exists, okay, and we can obviously take that category parameter, and this is going to return a boolean. So it's either going to be true or false if the category exists. Okay, then we're going to return the category model where the ID of that category is equal to the category that we're checking. Okay, so then we're just going to use our helper method from Laravel, exists for this. Okay, and then PHP. The next one is we're going to do our last one. This is basically going to be the sorting one. All right, so public, come on, public function, valid sort, and the sort is going to take a sort parameter, and this is also going to be a boolean. Okay, we're going to return an array, basically the sort, and then we're going to check if it is a recent ASC or a recent DSC. So we're going to check that now, because we're going to do that sort by, and we're going to validate it right here. So we're going to do a public function sort by, like this. Okay, then we add a sort. Now the sort is basically also, let's do a void. Okay. Now this dot sort by, okay, referring to that. Nope, not the method, equals to this dot validate, or valid sort. Okay, we're going to take in the sort parameter. So if the sort is there, then use the sort, else do the recent DESC. Okay. Right, now I think it is as clear as mud, so I have to explain a couple of things for you. Right, so where is our error in here? Let me just check. Just don't forget to use your semicolons right there. Okay, guys? Right. Now, basically what will happen now is if we go to our show post. Right, this sort by, see, it provide a parameter right here. So if we click it, all right, let's go to the browser. Hopefully everything works now. Then I'll show you. As you can see, we got a property not found component. Okay, let me go and check what's wrong. So if we get here, this must be a lowercase order by, just like this. Okay, let's go back. Oh man, we're calling this method right here in there. So we just need to call it sort by, not order by. I'm just thinking in terms of the local scope. So when you, instead of here you're calling it latest, you can do order by ID ascending or whatever. I was just thinking in their terms. My bad. Right, so sort by, let's see if it works now. Okay, so if we refreshed, we got our categories and things like that. Obviously, no lovely styling. So basically, we got all our posts. I only got the post in there. We got our sorted, and all that is working. We got our holidays categories. We obviously misspelled that. Okay, so let's go there. Category. This one right here, category exist. Oh man, my spelling. Okay, let's go and check it. So if we press on the holidays one, so basically it will show all the posts that have the category of holidays. Press the camping one, obviously it only shows the posts that return the camping, and obviously we can do ascending or descending. All right, so let's quickly style this to look a little bit better. So if we click this one, it must actually have a style attached to it. Okay, so if to show that we actually have clicked it. So let's go back to our VS Code again. All right, this toggle category right here. If we go to our show post right here, where is it? This one right here. So basically for the every click right here. So if the user click on it, okay, then we actually want to give it some styling and things like that. Okay, so we can do that an easier way. So this is basically what we're referring to inside this method right here, this toggle category right here. And this dot sort by is actually the this dot sort by, this right here. Okay, and okay, so let's go to our view right here and let's do some styling. Okay, so let's do it like here. Let's add a class. Okay, so just to kind of give an indication if we clicked it. Okay, so if the selected category, okay, selected category, okay, man, I cannot spell selected category. Okay, it's equal to basically the category ID. Okay, so basically we're doing ternary operator inside our class right there. Okay, so if the selected category, okay, is equal to the category ID, okay, then we want to do a background of indigo. Come on, tailoring classes, BG indigo 500, text of white, and focus outline of none. Okay, else like this, do nothing. Okay, and let's see if it works. Let's go to our browser, refresh. So let me press on holidays. You see it highlights it for me, and if I do camping, you kind of see it adds the styling right there. Okay, cool stuff. Okay, so let's go back. Just to add some padding and stuff like that. Okay, so and just let's add padding on the class itself. So padding of inside here, we're just going to add padding of 2. Yeah, just padding of 2. I don't want to go in too much detail in that. All right, so we're going to do the same thing with the buttons on top. We're going to add a class as well. Now with them, it's a little bit different because we're going to check for if the selected sorted by. Let me go back here. The selected sorted by, this one right here, this variable right here is equal to, okay, so let's add that ternary operator for our class. So basically what will happen now is if that selected sort by is equal to our recent ASC, okay, question mark, then give it a background of Indigo 500, text white, and I think that's it. Okay, else, just do this, else do nothing. Okay, and I'm just going to add a class of pairing of 2 as well. Just 1. Let's just do 1. And we're just going to copy the same thing, just copy that whole class, and we're going to paste it in this one as well. Okay, so they got the same classes and everything. So obviously something's out, just need to add that. Okay, so let's see if it works. We refresh. So if we press this one, as you can see, okay, obviously have to change our parameter right here because this one is going to, if it's equal to TS. Okay, so let's go back, refresh. We press this one, you can see it's got highlighted. This one is got highlighted. Okay, all good stuff. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this underneath and just give it some spacing between this and that. Okay, so let's go back. Let's sort by right here. I'm just going to give it a class, margin right of, let's say, 8. No, that's too much. 4. Let's go back, refresh, just to move it up a bit. Okay, then I'm actually, why is this one? There's no background on that, so let's go. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is that categories, kind of that background. Did I spell it wrong? Yeah, I did. Indigo 500. Okay, so that's good. And I'm just going to do a margin bottom of 2 as well, just to kind of give it some spacing. Okay, so let's see how it looks like now. Refresh. Okay, so that's our categories perfect. Our sorted by can work. Right, our holidays and camping. So if we do that, it works as well. So this is all done now with Livewire, so all hooked up and everything. All right, the next part that I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to make sure why this buttons for every category, they need to be flex. So let's create another div. Okay, and move our categories up there, in there. Okay, then I'm just going to add a class on this div of flex call. Okay, just like this. See if it works. Refresh. Nope. It just, I forgot to add the flags. Okay, so we add the flags and obviously the item start as well. Okay, so let's see if it works now. Refresh. As you can see, we got our holidays and our camping right there. Okay, so obviously you can do the styling and however you guys want. This is just to show you how everything works. Okay, so we're just going to do our post right now. Okay, so let's do that. Let me refresh this. So just display our post and obviously with the pagination at the bottom right there. Okay, let's go. Right, so now the next part, go into our index. We've got our Livewire show posts. Okay, so for every post right here, I'm just going to create another Livewire, another blade component, and I'm actually just going to call it, let's do this. Let's create another component right here. Go under there. We're going to create a new folder called blog. Okay, inside this, I'm just going to create a new file called posts, like this, .blade.php. Okay, so inside our show right here, we're just going to link that the Blade component. Okay, so let's do it like this. x.blog.post. Want to do singular, so let me just rename it right there because it's going to be a single post. Rename like this. Okay, so a singular post. Let me just retype it again. x.blog.post. Okay, you're supposed to work now. Okay, cool. Right, and then actually now I'm just going to pass in the post variable again. Post like this. Okay, so all the posts. So reason for this is now I'm just going to style a single post right here. So I'm just going to create a div. Okay, and inside this I'm just going to do a heading of 2. I'm just doing it on the fly. So post dot title. Okay, and then a paragraph with post dot body. Okay, now this whole thing is going to be encapsulated with an href like this with an anchor tag, because if they click on that they can actually go to the post itself. Okay, so for now it's just going to lead nowhere. Okay, so just like this. Let's see how it looks like in the browser. We refresh, we get a whole bunch of stuffies right here. So it's all good. But the poster body, I'm just going to remove this. Okay, let me delete. No. Bang, bang. And just post. But I'm just going to do that limit again. So string str limit. Okay, so this is going to be open post.body. And I'm going to limit it to 200 characters. And if it's more than that, just add a dot notation like this. Okay, let's go back. Refresh. Okay, cool stuff. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to add a class. Okay, class of bg white, so that we can see it. Shadow. Let's make a large shadow. Just a normal shadow. And padding of 2. And yeah, just as an example, let's give this class of text XL, just of extra large, so it stand out, and font of bold. Okay, the paragraph is fine as is. Okay, let's go back. Refresh. Okay, so now we have this. Not good. I'm just going to create some space in between them. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, let's go in our show post right here. What we're going to do is we're going to just add a space Y of, let's say, 3. Okay. I added it on the wrong place. I actually put it on the post itself. That's not going to help. We just need to put it on top of the main div right there, not between that. Okay, so let's go back, and now it's supposed to work. Okay, there it's working. Okay, so all good stuff. All right, so basically this is all our post. As you can see, it's too many. So I'm just going to limit it to 5. Let's go to our post model again. Now in our Livewire view, as you can see, our paginate 10. I'm just going to change it to 5. Okay, let's do it like this. As you can see, now it just returns 5. If I press camping, only the post with the title of camping comes up, and that one, if I go to ascending, as you can see, all the A there, and the descending like this. Obviously, you can put A to Z or Z to A in here, but you can decide how you want to do that. Okay, so I'm just trying to, it's not trying to look like the prettiest website. It's not the goal. As you can see, it obviously doesn't. It's just for the practicality of how things work and stuff like that. Okay, right, let's go back. We need to obviously add just the pagination right there, and then we're done. All right, so let's go back. All right, and inside show post right here, underneath this, we're gonna, let me just see, like there. We can just do it like this, post and links. Okay, or we can do the render, but let's stick with links. You can do it both ways. Let me refresh. As you can see, the pagination is at the wrong place. So I just need to move it underneath, not under our nav, underneath our post right there. Let me go back. Okay, let's copy this. This is our site nav. Where is our post? So that's our main body. So we just put the links in there. Okay, let's go back. Refresh. Yay, and it's working. Okay, so we can obviously create a div. Let me put it inside the div again. And we're going to actually give it a class of padding of 2 and BG of indigo. So I'm just sticking to a theme. Obviously, I'm not trying to make it look beautiful. Page links. Just an example. Sorry about the dog barking. Okay, so that's it. So if you press like this, all good. You know what, that's actually only going to look nice if there's actually links. If there's no links, then it's just going to look ugly. So I'm just going to leave it out. You can obviously style it however you want. Okay, so let me push and refresh. Okay, just right there. As we've got our holidays, camping, everything is good. Okay. All right, so yes, we can sort. Okay, so like the video if you like it, guys, and just give me some comment or feedback if you find this video helpful or useful. And like the video if you like it, dislike if you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down or thumbs up. And yes, positive or negative feedback is appreciated as always. And thank you guys for watching. And in the next one, we're going to finish up the series. That's going to be the last one. In the next one is basically we're just going to add our subscribe to our newsletter right here. So this is going to be our last part. And yes, and then we finished. Okay, so the styling and everything like that, that's totally up to you and how you work. I'm just showing the back end how to do it and stuff like that. Okay, I'm obviously not trying to make it the prettiest website because that will take too much time, because then we focus too much on Tailwind, and it's not a Tailwind course. All right, so in the next one, we're going to do the subscribe to our newsletter, this button right here. We're going to do a model, and yes, and then we finish with the series. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.